It looked like no one could hurt George Clooney for years. A man who was famous, beautiful, had a reason to live, and had found the woman who would always give him hope. Pictures showed it to be pretty and funny, but behind them, something darker began to show up. The man, who used to be funny and charming, began to show cracks that only his closest family and friends could see. It wasn't a pretty story when he finally did talk about what went wrong. It hurt my feelings. He went from being Hollywood's perpetual bachelor to a happy married man. In the early 1990s, George Clooney had a short but terrible relationship with actress Talia Balsam. He promised himself he would never get married again after that. It looked like he was making fun of it by saying he wasn't very good at marriage. While his friends settled down, Clooney kept himself busy with work on movies, running for office, and late-night laughs. He looked very happy with his freedom from the outside. There was always a quiet loneliness behind closed doors, though. That fame can't take away. In 2013, everything changed after that. His summer home was on Lake Como, where it was quiet. He met someone from another world through a friend. Human rights lawyer Amal Alamuddin is well known. She went to Oxford and New York University. She wasn't interested in Hollywood or being in the spotlight. After she left, George said, it was like something changed when she walked into his house. Things were different in every way. Their relationship grew very quickly. In April 2014, Clooney got down on one knee in his kitchen and asked her to open a box and find the ring. He was really scared. She almost missed it. The idea led to awkward laughs, long silences, and finally his plea. I'm 52 years old, and my knee is about to give out, she said. Amal agreed. They got married in Venice, Italy, in September of that year. Cameras, friends, and everyone else thought this was the best ending to a fairy tale. It lasted a while. He used to drink late at night, but now Clooney is a family man. In 2017, he and his wife had twins called Ella and Alexander. That was the best time of his life, he said. The Clooneys built a house in Provence, started the Clooney Foundation for Justice, and showed that smart, beautiful people can be together. Things were argued over in front of the UN and the International Criminal Court. He was in and directed political movies. They looked like they couldn't be broken. They were the picture of grace and teamwork. The cracks start to show. Long distance, stress at work, and stress in the mind. In Hollywood, 15 years is a long time. By 2025, the Clooneys had been married for more than 10 years. They were thought to be still great because they smiled on red carpets, raised twins, and went to world events together. But their lives were going in different directions once they were away from the flashbulbs. She became a famous professor at the University of Oxford, and George was getting ready for his long-awaited start on Broadway in Good Night and Good Luck. Their feelings were very different for the first time in years. They lived in various parts of the world. From what Radar Online heard from people close to the marriage, this wasn't your average split between two busy workers. The trial split was deeper and more quiet, and neither of them wanted to talk about it out loud. Amal and her children stayed in England, where she knew a lot of people from school. George worked out late at night in New York City. He sometimes drank a drink by himself in his studio after curtain call, which he said he had given up years before. One person said, being this far apart hasn't been easy. They've been swaying, not fighting, just walking away. Clooney said that he and Amal never fought. In an interview with CBS Mornings in April 2025, he smiled and said, we still haven't found anything to fight about. It sounded like a dream, a happy, stress-free marriage. But later, relationship experts said that this kind of peace could hide something dangerous, silence. When people try not to fight, they often hide their hurt, anger, and tiredness by smiling until they have nothing else to say. While Amal was in Oxford, she had classes, students, and casework at The Hague. George liked her, but he felt bad about how much he liked her. He told the New York Times that he didn't think he had a chance when they first met because she was smarter than him, 17 years younger, and had everything she needed. That difference, which used to be cute, felt like a space now because they were 64 and 47 years old, and their lives were moving at different speeds. That changed on the night of the return. The breaking point wasn't when people yelled at each other or betrayed each other. It happened all in one night, starting with cheers and ending with sadness. In June 2025, George Clooney and Amal attended the Tony Awards in New York together. Everyone who saw them thought they were stunning, in sync, and glowing under the lights. As the night went on, it became harder to tell the difference between having fun and running away. George decided to drink all the alcohol he had avoided for years. That night, he got so drunk that he felt like he was back in high school. The next day, he was sick and felt bad, but he tried to laugh it off. Other people found the story funny, but Amal didn't. Friends who talked to Radar Online said she was very angry, which wasn't what it was about for her. Someone who knew him said she admired how hard he worked to stay sober, but hearing him brag about getting drunk made her very angry. For Amal, it brought back painful memories of the younger actor George, who liked being drunk and would show up to movie sets. That's when she fell in love with him as a husband, father, and reliable partner. Amal said something when George tried to play down what had happened. Someone else said that she told George that she wouldn't put up with his drinking, which hurt a lot. The fact that his wife, the woman who used to call him her anchor, challenged him made him face something scary. He was proud of being in charge, but he was falling down. Friends said that the next few weeks were tense and quiet, and they went back to their $3 million home in Provence with a farm, olive trees, and peace and quiet. It was supposed to be a safe place for them, but the silence made the space between them even bigger. In the mornings, Amal worked on legal matters from home, and George walked around the grounds practicing his lines for his Broadway show. At dinner, they talked about trial separation and putting on a perfect front. By March 2025, rumors were flying faster than either of them could stop. According to Radar Online, close friends of the couple said that George and Amal were going through what they called a trial separation. Their sons were with Amal in England, where she taught at Oxford, while George stayed in New York to fulfill a dream that had been building for decades, making his Broadway debut. From the outside, it didn't look like a problem. George was proud of what Amal had done. Amal told her co-workers that she understood why he had to be on stage, but she felt like they hadn't spent enough time apart. Every day, they tried to FaceTime to spend a little time together. Ella's drawings, Alexander's laughs, and bedtime stories, told in secret across time zones. But as the weeks turned into months, the gap was more than just a physical one. They're used to being apart for a few days, a source said, but that's not true. They didn't expect to be tested in this way. The newspapers were very negative, with stories about growing tension, distance, and reports of divorce. But what made the story so real was that neither of them denied it. They didn't say anything, and in a strange way, that silence said a lot. Friends say that Amal liked her time away because it gave her time to think. But George saw it as being sent away because he missed the noise of his family. One close friend said he missed hearing Amal in the kitchen and seeing the kids run around the house. For him, New York wasn't freedom. It was loneliness dressed up as a chance. But just when everyone thought the claims were true, they showed up at the Venice International Film Festival in August 2025, walking hand in hand and smiling like nothing had ever gone wrong. As the crowd cheered and cameras flashed, Amal looked beautiful, and everything seemed perfect again. Everyone was looking forward to seeing that picture because it meant that the Clooneys would never be hurt again. But there were questions behind that calm exterior. Were they just doing what they knew how to do so well, or were they really trying to get back together? They're both very good at keeping their private life hidden, a friend said quietly. But sometimes what seems like peace is just quiet sadness. That fall of 2025, Amal Clooney talked to Glamour magazine to talk about her friendship with makeup artist Charlotte Tilbury. But what really got people's attention were the few words she said about her husband, George. It had been months since Amal had talked about George in public, and what she said told us more than any words could. "I have a partner in life who is so supportive of what I do," she told the reporter, looking at George, who kept coming and going from the room while they talked. "Once I became a mom, he was the first person to tell me, 'You have this speech at the Security Council. I'll watch the kids. Go do it.'" Those words stopped the stories that had been going around about them for a year, but it was still hard to ignore the pain behind them. Amal's voice was grateful and tired, like someone who was thinking about better days instead of living them. Hearing those things broke George's heart and made him happy at the same time. He had always been amazed by Amal's intelligence, kindness, and bravery in court, but those same qualities sometimes made him miss what he was losing, the sense that he was on the same level as her. He told his friends that the attention and popularity that other people found admirable had become a chore. He is said to have told a close friend, "I never wanted to be a love story. My only goal was to get married." In the fall of that year, George finally spoke out. He didn't send out a news release or a properly worded denial. Instead, he talked calmly in an interview that not many people thought he would do. When asked if the rumors of a breakup were true, he didn't say anything for a few seconds. "You know," he said softly, "marriage isn't about being the same. Hold on when things around you and you change." Neither did he deny that there was a split. He just didn't know about it. Instead, he talked about what it was like to live together and not talk to each other. He said that you can be with the person you love and still feel like you're very far away. Then you don't feel angry. You feel sad. According to people who knew him, that was George's confession. He said that they were no longer holy to each other. One by one, time, desire, and distance slowly broke them down. No one was caught or exposed. "I feel so incredibly lucky to share every day with him," Amal told Glamour. "Now we have 4. I don't take anything for granted." It's possible that she meant the story wasn't over. The couple couldn't be touched before, but now they were just like everyone else, trying to find a balance between love and duty, self and love. Being honest won't hurt that marriage, so don't worry. What happened and what will happen next? George Clooney learned around the end of 2025 that even the most beautiful stories can have a sad ending. The story of one of Hollywood's most admired couples turned into a lesson about getting older, being apart, and how much power you really have. These two people had beautiful smiles on their faces, but those close to them knew something was wrong. There were no more long, funny conversations or red carpet jokes. People instead answered more quickly and waited longer for the other person to finish. Friends said they chose to spend more time apart not because they were angry, but because they knew each other better. Along with Ella and Alexander, Amal kept teaching law at Oxford while they grew up in the English countryside. George spent most of his time in Provence. During the day, he worked on his farm, directed projects, and took care of his Broadway chores. A friend of theirs told them that they both love their kids a lot, but they know they can't keep living the way they are. A lot of things to her matter in terms of structure and meaning. He loves being free and getting lost. They're not made the same way. George didn't tell anyone that the time alone was bothering him. When he was 64, he wasn't the young man who could charm away all of his mistakes. Seeing the lines around his eyes, being tired after shows, and having knee pain made him think of it every day. At the same time, Amal stayed focused and bright as ever. She was a smart and driven woman. Leave your ideas in the comments, and don't forget to like and follow for more Hollywood stories that haven't been told before. Their home in Provence, which used to be a place for fun, became a place where they could think. George once joked, "I used to be the one moving too fast. Now she's the one running ahead, and I'm just trying to keep up." George walked through the olive fields at night, sometimes with a glass of wine that he swore would be his last. It wasn't rebellion anymore. It gave up. It wasn't for fun. He drank to remember when things were easy. He kept thinking about how scared he was, and how badly he wanted her to say yes all the time. He told a close friend that he did it to show me that I could be someone's forever. But forever is harder than I thought. There were still times of kindness. The twins came to visit during the school break and laughed so hard that the house was very loud. Amal still called and cared, even though her voice was more formal. Now they talked about his shows, the kids, and her charity. But they didn't talk about them. Some say they're still together and getting back together slowly. How much does it cost to stay in love when the world, time, and fame separate you? That could be what George and Amal's story is really about. After everything they've been through, do you think love can last? Some people say that they are just waiting for the right time to say that the breakup is over for good. Leave your ideas in the comments, and don't forget to like and follow for more Hollywood stories that haven't been told before.